with over 20 credits on stage and in film since 2010, it seems like you hit the ground running and never looked back. When did you know that acting was something that you wanted to pursue? And was there something in particular or a movie or event that inspired you?
Okay. One, I appreciate you all for counting things. I never do count. I'm like, I don't know. I've done a couple of things here. I've done a couple of things there. And then it's doing things like this where you go, oh, yeah, I've been doing some things. I have always wanted to act. I grew up in Chicago and I'm now back in Chicago. And I love this city. And I grew up in a multi-generational house. So it was me and my 3 other siblings, my parents, my mom's twin sister, and my grandparents all in one house. And the kids, and this is a long story because it gets to me acting. The kids, all of us, we lived in the basement. Now, it was a finished basement, like there was a floor. It wasn't like rats and things, but we didn't have rooms. So we were just all out and like, it was like our dressers and beds and then the TV and toys. And I've always been a night owl. So like my dad or mom would come downstairs, put us to bed, and then would head on up and I'd act like I was asleep. And then I'd wait a little bit and I'd get up and like play with toys and then watch TV. Nick at Night was starting when I was young. So I came up watching like the black and white comedies of like the 50s and 60s. And my number one was I Love Lucy. I wanted to be Lucille Ball. Sometimes I feel like my hair is a little bit of
little Lucy. I can see a little Lucy.
A little Lucy. So that I wanted to do that. I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be funny. I wanted to wear glamorous clothes and stuff like that. And then when I grew up in church, there was always like an Easter musical or a Christmas cantata or something like that. So I would do the little plays at church. And then at school, there was a speech meet competition that my 5th grade teacher encouraged me to participate in. And there was a poem called The Touch of the Master's Hand. And I won't go into it now, but every family gathering, every funeral,
Tell her to do the little thing, the little speech.
Yeah, baby, go. I did it for my grandmother's funeral. And I also, did it for our 8th grade graduation. And I just saw an elementary school friend who I haven't seen in years. And they were like, oh yeah, you're in Candyman. You know what I remember?
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, that's what the people want. So from small, I wanted to do it because of what I saw from the outside on TV, and then what I felt when I was performing. Just it felt right, and I felt good to make people laugh or make people moved, emotionally. But as far as like it being an actual career and a thing to do, I didn't know anybody that was actually professionally doing anything within this world. So it was always like, yeah, I would love to. I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to start doing the things that I think I'm supposed to do, which for me, like I told you, I grew up in church. I have an older brother, sister that went off to Bible college, and my sister is a pastor. So I was going to do that. I was like, I'll be the drama pastor, and I'll be the one who puts on the Easter musicals and whatnot. But then after a year of doing a hands-on ministry training program, we could talk for a long time about a lot of things that have happened in my life, the things that have done and who I am now, and good things like that. But after a year of that, I was like, oh no, I just want to act.
Right.
Then I found an acting school. And now here we are with 20 plus credits.
For the aspiring actors out there, especially young female women, could you talk about what the journey was like from the decision saying, hey, I'm an actress now, I'm an actor, to actually acting? Like one day people say, hey, I'm going to do this. This is what I am. And then 45 auditions later, you're like, I think I'm doing this. I think I am. So could you talk about the journey and when you actually started doing it? I think you kind of did, but yeah, what it's like?
That kind of, I guess I'll start doing this. I think I'm doing it was kind of my deal. Mm-hmm. Like I said, at 18, 19, I was in that ministry training program who had a focus on drama ministry, which was why, like, I saw these young people that would come to our church and they did skits and whatnot. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. It's church and it's acting. It's everything in one. Let me do that. And like I said, I did that for a year and I didn't get put on the drama team. And it was just learning experience for who I am and where I fit and what I do and what I believe and all that stuff. And so I was like, oh yeah, no, I just want to act. That's what I want to do. I think that's what I'm supposed to do. And I was visiting my family, who was now in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And my sister was graduating from college. And over the weekend that I was there, I happened to look at auditions. And there was an audition for the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in Los Angeles. And I went to that audition and I got into the school. And so that fall, I went out to LA and I was there for a year of training. So that school is a 2-year school of class training and then a 3rd-year program that's a performance company. And they are selective in who they take in, and then they whittle you down. So there's a first-year class. I feel like there was like around 150 or so of all the first-year students, which broke down into about 10 groups of 15. And then they would ask you to come back for the 2nd year. And then eventually like 12 to 15 people would be retained for the 3rd year acting performance company. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. Oh, yeah. So I was out in LA doing the things. First time really reading plays that weren't like The Donkey and the Baby in the Manger or whatever the plays were, that I did. Which, if that's not written, I'm going to put that out there.
There you go.
This is the first time, like, really getting into to Shakespeare and to getting into. I don't think I'd ever really heard of August Wilson before that. I'd only seen one play before, like in a 1st grade field trip, and so for me, like that immersing in LA was really exciting for me. It was also a realization to me being there because this program doesn't allow you to work outside of school. So there were a couple of people that, they're like, I'm hitting LA and that like would whittle, they faded away through the year because they got this random thing that they thought was going to be something or that other thing. But I was like, I'm training, I'm doing this thing. So that year ended and I was prepping to be back for a 2nd year, and my family had moved from Chicago to Minneapolis, and a grandmother was sick and my mom wasn't working so that she could help take care of grandma. And like I said, growing up in a multi-generational house, we make it work. We all pitch in and we all do things. And so I didn't go back to school. I stayed home and got a job in Minneapolis. My first job was at the Mall of America, which was my favorite place on the planet at that time.
Well, was it still your favorite place after you worked there?
No, not so much. It's okay.
I want to go on roller coaster so many times now.
Yeah, don't shit where you eat.
Man, here's the thing. I feel like I could go on those roller coasters as many times as I wanted to, but there's only so much like Midwestern tourist to like squeeze past to get. I just need a new pair of shoes. I just need shoes. I'm trying to get to the store to get shoes. That's the deal when you actually live in Minneapolis. You're like, where else can I possibly go other than the MOA if I need something? But for the time that I was there, it was wonderful. Where did I leave off on my
coming back to Minneapolis and getting the job?
Families in Minneapolis, got a job at the Mall of America. Again, I would look at auditions because the school training that I had in that 1 year was the stuff that you do, the building of character in your process. In the 2nd year of the program, at least when I was there, was when it really now switched into business side of things a little bit more and did a little more on camera stuff and finding representation and all that stuff. So all I know, though, was auditions were in the paper or online. So I would audition and I would start going to see plays. And in that process, I got to know other actors and I got to know other directors. I got my the agency that actually I still work with oftentimes out of Minneapolis called Nuts Non-Union Talent Services. Shout out to them. And they, I got that because I auditioned for a play. I didn't get it, but the director was like, hey, I don't know if you like to do stuff on camera, if that's your bag, but you should call these people. They're pretty great. That's how it went. So it went from a small, like, play that a 2-person play in a coffee shop. And from that, getting to know the directors and the other actor auditioning for a community theater show. And then it's something a little bit bigger. And that's how my career took root. I have many wonderful friends that did, you know, a full 4-year degree and a master's and a blah, blah. But the way my life was the way my life was set up was like, you're going to hit the ground running. Mm-hmm. You're going to learn as you go. And you're going to be, you know, blessed to meet like amazing people that introduce you to some other amazing people, and you may get to do some really amazing work. So like, that's how it has built over the years.
The audition to get into the school, the training, was that your first audition? I
feel like that was my first audition with like real stakes, like outside of school. And that was the first time I had to do a classical piece. So I had to do a Shakespeare, and I believe I did a piece from Shakespeare's from Shakespeare's All's Well That Ends Well, from a character named Helena. And she was like, she has this unrequited love for this boy, and she's confronted by his mother about that love because he's higher born than she is. And I think I found it in a book of monologues, and I was like, I know what it's like to love a boy and him not love me back. I'm going to do this. And I did that piece. I don't remember what my other piece was, but I remember going in because I auditioned in Minneapolis. There's an amazing regional theater there called the Guthrie Theater, huge theater. And hugely well-renowned all throughout the world of theater. And I auditioned there. And I remember somebody going like, oh, you're going to Guthrie to audition. And I was like, yeah, that's what it is. I didn't know. Like, I was still so not clued in. Like, the fact that there are folks who will be stopped before they even start because they think, well, I don't know this, or I don't know that, or I don't know these people. I don't have anyone in. Like, I am living proof that, like, if you just stay on your thing, if you put in time, if you put in work and you pay attention, it's not necessarily all about, I have all this knowledge before I'm doing it. My life has showed, like, I show up and prove who I am and what I do, and I'll learn all the other things. It's not hard to learn which theater is in what city or who's the, you know, assistant director, but it's hard to like show up in truth and authenticity, and sometimes just be a great person and giving in a room, you know, and tell a whole story and not just try to outshine everybody. It's where you find that's something that I love about the theater world as I have experienced it, is that when I was little and dreaming about being an actor, it was about me being a star. Mm-hmm. Then there's actually doing the work, and it's about, I'm a part of this piece and telling this greater story, and learning how to give, learning how to be open, learning how to listen, and learning how so many other people's time are valuable for making this work, you know, and experience and understanding. And I've really, really, really lucked out and have had wonderful examples of people who've been in the game, you know, longer than that I've been able to work with. And hopefully I set up some examples of that for folks that are coming up.
I just have 2 quick follow-up questions about that time of your life. With the audition, do you remember what your what you were feeling before leading up to the audition, how after the audition, how you felt that it went, and then that validation, like how you felt when you were accepted? And then the flip side of it, I was wondering, like, when you had to come back home and get a normie job, like it seemed like you were already on the path and you're there, and then to have to come back, like, it's like, oh, I know how this story ends a lot of the time. Like I had my chance, I had my shot, and now I'm back here at the Mall of America. Like what was
man.
that?
Just trying
It
to get
had
a pair
to
of
be an
shoes.
internal roller coaster.
Just trying to get a pair of shoes. So the audition, that one, I don't remember the initial reaction, like coming out of the room. I remember being pretty nervous, and then being in the room and talking to whoever. I think it was I don't remember if it was the dean or the VP of the school that was there, but whoever was the higher up that was there started talking about the prestige of the school. And then I really got nervous because it was one of those, I was like, I didn't know what I was auditioning exactly for. I didn't have that skill. If it had been like Juilliard, I'd heard of that before. And I would have been appropriately nervous. But it was in that room that I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of, because Lucille Ball actually went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Danny DeVito came through the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. It's a place.
Big deal. Mm-hmm.
It ain't no joke, right? Which I learned, like I said, learned by doing it, by jumping in. So I went right for that year, and it was total validation of like, I have potential to do this thing. I'm gonna learn, and being, like I said, being in LA, even though I wasn't working, which I think actually has been beneficial in my world, to have not started working out in LA. So at like 18, because of thinking who I was there then, I don't know that it would have been the best for me. I think it would have been the thing of competition and comparison, and like all the thing of my body and my size or my this or my that, and what I believe or what I don't, and what I'm supposed to. There would have been a lot in that way at that time, but it was still like actual, like it was there. I was in the place where all the things happen. So being back now in Minneapolis, not even back home to Chicago, I'm now in Minneapolis, which is really interesting to me that everybody knows that city now, you know, for something so horrific. But at that time, it was like I think mostly when people would be like, Minneapolis? Where is that? Minneapolis? I'd have to be like, no, just one. You got too many in there. Minneapolis. So a town that didn't seem like it held much of anything for an actor. Little did I know, it's an incredible theater town. It is actually second per capita theater town, just behind New York. And amazing artists and amazing people. So, but that all came eventually. Eventually it came. The thing that was the actual real, like, hit me in the heart bummer was, so after a year of working at the Mall of America, I auditioned again. Well, no, I got a job at a theater company still in operation called Climb Theater, which is an acronym for Creative Learning Ideas for Mind and Body. And we'll go. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I got that for you. Climb Theater would go into schools and do the issue-based plays, like about bullying or about acceptance of differences or following your dreams. We do like the cafetorium play, and then we'd come into your classroom later on. And
it's the after school special.
We were that. I was the living after school special. Yeah. Which was exciting because technically that was my first, I was fully paid to be an actor and educator and school wrangler and set dresser, and like, because we would take a van and put up our set and everything, and on all that. It was a little grueling, but it was also wonderful. And I think a really, really good place to start as an actor. It got me conditioned to adapt to different spaces that I was in, working with people for weeks, months at a time, close quarters. You got kind of used to that. And the clarity of like, you got a classroom of like, 80 fourth and fifth graders, and you're trying to tell a story. How are you using your body? How are you using your voice? How are you really conveying the story? Because it's not about you going to be a star at the end. it's about how we actually gonna get through
Speaking
all of this.